Hello, everyone, and welcome to our quick drop-in mental health hack for the day. I'm so excited to introduce you to the beautiful Sarah-Jane Olivier, Olivier. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. So Sarah, or SJ, is the curriculum lead for, I'm reading it, for the English IEB Schools for Curro. So it's one of the national, across South Africa, if you're not in South Africa, really incredible schools with phenomenal curriculum, of course, the best being English.
Obviously, of course.
So Sarah, thank you so much for joining us, for being here and sharing some of the insights that you've come across as an educator in the school with, you have, how many is it, 70,000 kids?
Yeah, so there's 72,000 kids in Curro schools nationally. So all the way from like babies up till 18, 19, depending on when they matriculate. And that's just the secondary school, like the tertiary school, there's more kids. So yeah, we're a huge corporation. Huge.
That's massive. So you have seen a lot going on. How long have you been in the schooling arena or system?
I'm going to reveal my age here. So I have been in teaching for 21 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been a long
started when you were 5.
Thanks. Yeah, so I've been in education in various sectors. So I've worked in government schools, I've worked in co-ed schools, I've worked in monastic schools, but I've been with Curro Group for the past 10 years. And it's just been an incredible journey. Like, they are the most remarkable organization, and I couldn't recommend their schools strongly enough, obviously.
Yes.
So I just think, like, in terms of ethos, you're talking about education moving beyond the classroom, and I think, in terms of our affiliation with you, it kind of speaks volumes to that. It's not just about academics and what happens there. That's obviously our core business, but education is way beyond just a syllabus or a curriculum. So,
yeah, absolutely. I love that. So for reference for everyone watching, SJ invited us, and I'm saying us as in me and the Just One Thing 365 brand. And I'm going to wait for you to motion to.
This is he's part of our group here, really.
So Just One Thing 365, I created and founded on the philosophy or the ethos of inspiring, helping, and empowering people to do just one thing 365 days a year to make a difference. So whether it's in the lives of humans, animals, or our planet. And SJ, you were just so great in inviting us into your school. So I just wanted to ask you, and for context for everyone watching here, is today's episode, of course, is about making a difference and what this does for our mental well-being, us as adults, and for kids as well, to raise kind humans, compassionate humans. But what does it do for our mental well-being? What have you come across?
So, look, I think there's a couple of levels. So I'm going to speak specifically from a teenager perspective, because obviously I work in a high school space. So, people always say teenagers are so self-centered. Yes, they are, because they are wired to be that way. Their prefrontal cortex is still developing. The synapses haven't quite connected yet. And so, if you recall being a teenager, it's that period of self-discovery. There's a lot of questions of who I am outside of my family and in my family, and so on and so forth. And so teenagers tend to go really inward during that period of time. They become very, very focused on themselves, as they should be, because that's the process of becoming an adult. But I think that in the current world in which we live, like with social media, it becomes so exacerbated. Because when you're asking that question of who am I in the greater context of the world, when your frame of reference of the world is this artificial, I don't know, like performative kind of generated life on social media, it can become a very, very lonely and very, very scary place. So I think in one sense, for me, it's really important to take kids out of their inner world and put them into a community where they can also recognize their own privileges, because privilege is really nuanced. So you might have gender privilege, but not class privilege, or class privilege, but not race privilege, or whatever the case may be. It's very nuanced. And so Curro has got a number of schools and different models. We've got, everything under the sun, but Aurora, which is where you kind of came in first, is a private school. And so by virtue of the fact that you're in a private school, you are privileged.
Yes.
And therefore, you need to step into a world where you can recognize that and do something with it. So I think for me, it's kind of got a dual thing to get teenagers into a space where they can kind of go, this is who I am in the greater world. This is what I have to offer. And then to go, I am in a privileged position and I need to use that to do something good. So for me, it's kind of like there's a dual thing in that, because it helps in terms of identity formation, but it also helps them to step outside of themselves and just to see perhaps a little bit clearer. I mean, that's kind of a basic overview, really.
I love that. Thank you so much for, like you said, taking education beyond the basic framework of what it is. Because when I was at school, I don't remember there being any kind of social impact drive. I mean, I naturally did a few things, but I think if there was a platform to do this, an
Yes.
invitation,
It's different. If you've got access, it makes it different. Yeah, it really does.
it really, and thinking of so many people that are our age, you know,
We use the term very loosely.
very loose. But so many people that I speak to now that are surprised at how much I do within just one thing. And they're saying, well, I hadn't thought of it, or, I don't have the time, or I don't have the money. And I've had comments of people ask me, like, you're a kept woman, to which, of course, I laugh hysterically.
Of course, I'm kept by my jobs. They keep me very well, keep me busy, keep me entertained, but I'm certainly not a kept woman.
100%. But it's the assumption of we can only make a difference
If you, and I
exactly.
think, for me, I think the biggest benefit of just one thing in terms of the schooling environment and making connections with the kids is that quite often when you will approach a specific NGO, a specific charity organization, whatever, how you want to frame it, they only do one thing. I mean, that's the irony, right? That they will only do kind of like animals, or they will do children, or they will do the elderly, or whatever. Their focus area is really, really limited. And when you're in a school environment and the kids don't actually always know what their passion is just yet, it is the self-exploration space. A platform like Just One Thing, where everything is available. You're doing from river cleanups, where the focus is the environment, to going into animal shelters, where the focus is the animals, to like the Christmas cause and supporting children who've lost their parents. And I think it's the broadness of the spectrum that for me is beautiful, in the sense that there is something for every kid to kind of try and see what works for them, and kind of figure out where their passion really lies. And I think that for me is the beauty of it. It's that it's got the reach is so profound.
Yeah. Thank you for highlighting that. Absolutely. Because when you are able to do something that you love in an area that you love, so where your heart beats the loudest is how I phrase it, then it does come more naturally, which means you naturally give more. And also in a well-being space, if I'm giving more to make a difference in the lives of others, I'm taking the focus off things that might be going on in my world that are maybe pulling me down. So it's not about avoiding what's going on, but rather having a platform that you're having fun in, especially for teenagers.
Yes.
The more fun I have, the more I can do anyway. So I think
Exactly.
it's a universal. But it's, as you're saying, especially when they're exploring, it's such a good point. Because I think so many times that maybe parents force their kids to do certain things. And if it's not where their hearts are, they're not going to show up for themselves or for anyone else around them. So thank you for making that.
And I think it's interesting because, in this stepping into a different environment, to stepping into the world and kind of doing something good, what we've certainly found is, I'm sure have you read Lost Connections by Johan Hari?
No.
So he's chasing the scream. He's just done a thing on Ozempic, which we all know is a terrible drug, but anyway, he's very interesting. So he's a researcher. And with Lost Connections, he actually looks at depression, and he travels the globe and he looks at how different communities manage it, and the medications that are used and therapies that are used and so on and so forth. And what it boils down to is the fact that people can have absolutely everything in the world and still be depressed in terms of material wealth and whatever the case may be. But fundamentally, it's a lack of connection that causes people to, feel that disconnection, to withdraw into themselves. And so what's been quite fascinating is quite often when, we often will use community service as a, I don't know, like if a kid's going through a particularly bad space, or they feel like this sense of a lack of belonging, which I think a lot of kids feel, to put them into a space where they have a role within a community, it really changes their self-perception. And what we've often found is that you take a kid and you say, okay, we're going to go do this initiative, we can do this one, and you can try them all out and play a role and be present. What happens is they will often come back into the space, and then time will pass, and they'll approach teacher and say, I have a really good idea for what we could do, and could we kind of, put something together, and then, and I think that, and of course, in a school environment, you go, yes, that's what you do, because it's learner-centered. So you've got a great idea, let's sit together and make it work, but you are driving it. It's up to you. Yes. And I think, because then what happens is then they go, okay, cool, now I have an idea, and other people are coming into my idea. And then whatever I've created then goes into another space where more people benefit. And so it's quite a ripple effect, because I think that it's autonomy, right? I mean, what people really need more than anything else is that sense of, I'm in control of my own life, and I have a role to play in the broader community. And I think that just one thing, and the opportunities it provides brings more back into the school community, and then subsequently it's like it's a sorry, my cat with a cat toy. It's a beautiful kind of like a symbiotic relationship, really, where all parties are benefiting. And it's interesting because people say, but if you do something good for someone else and you feel good, then you're doing it because you feel good. I mean, does it matter? Does it matter if you feel good? I mean, and surely it's a good thing if you feel good about doing something good. Like, that's allowed, that's allowed.
It's a win-win.
Right. And if it means that you're going to go, more good needs to be done, then let it happen. It's not like, and it's that idea of, is there such a thing as a completely selfless act? Not really, because if you're doing something good, you yourself benefit, whether you think it or feel it or not. In the act of doing something good, I believe that you bring good things to you, and you change your mental state. So
Reach, Esther, you just dropped the mic. You are 100% correct. Where, yes, it is something where to do this, if you want to call it selfish, I do this all the time because I just feel better and better and better. And the more I do, the lighter I feel. So it comes down to that question where, if money wasn't an issue, what would I do? Well, this all day, every day.
Exactly.
That it gives me, and it's a natural high. It's a dopamine boost, and it's like we were saying, the win-win-win for everyone. So if it's going to change my mindset, and I'm having a crappy day, let's say I wake up, I'm not feeling great, something has happened. But as soon as I arrive to do whatever I'm about to do, and within a community, you cannot help but just change. Something switches.
Yeah. And I think that it's interesting because, so let's take this scenario where, you're not having a great day. So it is all about you, right? Like, I'm not feeling myself. But the minute you step into that space, it's not about you anymore. And that's what's fascinating, because you have to step outside of yourself to make it about someone else, something else. And that in turn actually brings you closer to who you are, which I think is so interesting, because I think so often we get stuck in who we are, and we go, I must stay in this space within myself because that's the only way I'm going to figure it out. But sometimes to step outside yourself is actually really important. It gives you that perspective and that distance. So
yes. And that perspective and distance of seeing, as you mentioned right at the beginning, about privilege, that we all have privilege. If anyone watches us, that we've got data, we've got a device that we can watch this in, we're all privileged, in varying levels. So if we can do just one thing, no matter how seemingly small, to make a difference and uplift the life of another human, animal, or for our planet, that just one thing, we don't even know what it's doing for the others' well-being as well. So there's that as well. Whether it's human or animal, there
is that kind of
completely. And so many times, and
I just think that in this kind of this context of privilege, I think that so often, and I'm going to put it out there, I think schools will often go, oh, but we are doing things, we're having a cities day, we're raising money, and I'm sorry, but handing over an envelope with some cash, and yes, it has its place, and I'm not saying that's not important, but that's not what the point is. If you are not going into a space and doing something, then you're not actually fully encompassing what it means to be giving back,
Yes.
or to be doing something important. And I think that's the challenge, right? And to move out of your comfort zone. As you said earlier, people are going, well, you must be a Capricorn, you must have so much money to be able to do this.
So much time.
But it's like that time is money, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not really just time, it's an investment. You're investing in your community, you're investing in yourself. And I think that, again, you're investing in your own community because you move back into your own space and there is that ripple effect. So
yeah. Absolutely. Eshe, thank you so much. Any parting words of wisdom? Pardon.
I just think, obviously I work in education. I'm very passionate about young people. And I think people of a certain generation can be really critical of who young people are. Don't forget that they're still forming themselves. And also give them an opportunity to do something good, and they'll surprise you. They really will. Like, let them move into a space and do something for someone else. And if you're a parent and you're watching, do community service with your children, please.
Yes.
Please don't let them sit at home in front of their phones or their textbooks or whatever. Take them out into the world and let them see that there's a room beyond them.
Beautiful, Eshe. Thank you. And what a wonderful way to connect as well with your family, right? To bond with your family. Hello, baby. Here you go. You're bonding.
You knew he was going to come in towards the end. It was inevitable.
I was just going to keep asking you questions until we walked into shot. Just mentioning on how beautiful where today so many families aren't spending as much time as maybe in the past. So, and because when everyone gets home, everyone's on their devices anyway.
Yeah.
We're actively doing just one thing, maybe it's once a month, where you go spend 1 hour together. What it does for you as a family unit.
Family unit. Yeah.
And, goosebumps just thinking of how that can start transforming lives as well.
And I think, one of the most wonderful things I saw in terms of good parenting, so parents of a particular child, I taught every year on her birthday, she would have to kind of go through her closet, go through her toys or books or whatever the case was, and go, what am I no longer using that I can give to someone else? And they would go to wherever, and they would do no donations, and that was like, it's your birthday and you are going to be spoiled, but in turn you have to kind of make room for that in your life. And when she turned 18, instead of throwing an 18th where everyone got drunk and did stupid things, they went to a school and they helped to build a classroom, and they painted some, and she said that that's what I want more than anything. And it's such a simple thing that is a once a year thing, but that could be every month, like every month you've got to pick one thing that you want to give to someone else, that you're going, this has brought me a lot of joy and I wanted to bring joy to someone else. And I think that there are really simple ways to make it happen. And to go and spend a Saturday at Woodrock with the animals, or to go to the SPCA, or you know what I mean? You can't help but walk away feeling like I've done something, I've given some love to the animals who need it most, So, yeah.
I've done something meaningful. Not that we're searching to be meaningful in our lives, but just the act of doing something meaningful.
But also, I don't think a lot of people have meaning. I think a lot of people search for meaning in the wrong place. You're searching for it in status, and you're searching for it in fame and in fortune, but that's not where you find meaning, So maybe look a little closer to home. Yeah.
A little bit deep.
Yeah.
Amazing. SJ, thank you so much. That was so lovely chatting, and looking forward
always good to chat to you.
So great. And truly, on behalf of Just One Thing t-shirt, on behalf of Just One Thing 365, I just wanted to say thank you for always including us in your initiatives. And we're busy with some fun stuff behind the scenes.
We're looking for exciting things that lie ahead. I'm looking forward to it.
So thank you. And thank you for being the invitation to other schools as well. Within the Curro group, and any other parents, teachers,
anyone who's keen,
come and do just one thing with us, and let's make a difference in the lives of humans, animals, and the planet. And we'll always support the work you do, because we support brands that care. So
yes, and we do indeed care. That's the goal.
Absolutely. Thank you, SJ.
Okay.
Bye, beautifuls. Bye, Kitty.
Bye.